Good morning, and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate. Beck and Beck provide complete service for your real estate transaction and bring you guests who provide interesting information about products and services available in our community. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk KGVO. And happy to have you on board Western Montana Fair Week. Welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. A return guest. It's been dang near 2 years now. He was fairly new with this business. It's been rolling along well. Ryan Gilberts, owner of Shaded Window Coverings here in Missoula. Welcome back to the show, Ryan.
Hey, thanks for having me, Denny.
How's the summer been treating you? A lot of folks, realizing, they need a little more shade, keep that hot sun coming out. I imagine this is an active time of year for you.
It's definitely super busy during the summer months, but the fires don't help.
Right.
And but the sun helps a lot.
Sure. Yeah. Well, let's do the get reacquainted, since you haven't been here in so long. Your background and what got you interested in pursuing ownership of shaded window coverings.
Yeah. So basically, I was 2008-ish time. I was just kind of being a contractor, doing some bathroom remodel stuff, and a buddy of mine reached out to me, asked me to help him out because I can operate a drill and I can talk to some people, and seeing if I just wanted to install some blinds for a day during the week. And of course, I had a young family, so I said, absolutely, let's do it. Kind of grew into a part-time position, into a sales position, into him moving away, and I created Shaded Window Coverings.
Wow. So was it just when you started, just kind of a side hustle sort of deal? Were you doing so many other things? And
yeah, it was.
You saw a way to pick up a few extra bucks?
Yeah. It was actually kind of easy work, to be honest with you, from, tiling showers to, just installing a few blinds here and there.
Yeah.
And just seeing how the business works, and very, in my eyes, black and white.
Yeah. What appealed to you about it?
The fact that you're not carrying 60 pounds of tile upstairs, but no, it was, you're always going into a customer's house.
Yes.
And, it's not like a remediation project where, you have to remodel a bathroom because there was a water leak and they're spending all this money and they're just kind of at wit's end with the project. A lot of my clientele is, they're happy to see me there. They're getting something fresh and new in their house, and I'm only in there for, a couple hours, maybe a full day if it's a big project. But, at the end of the day, they're super excited about all their new window coverings.
Yeah. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate here on News Talk KGVO. My guest, Ryan Gilberts, the owner of Shaded Window Coverings in Missoula. What do you like the most about the products you represent? I know there's a lot of different ones there.
Yeah, we have a wide variety. We probably sell 12 different vendors. But I think it's the adversity of every single component in the window covering game. You have anything that blocks out 100% of the light to something that, takes a direct glare and takes the intensity away, but then you're, still getting your view through, or, you're insulating the windows so that way during the winter months, it stays warm in the house. So there's a whole bunch of different aspects. And then also just bringing in life into the home.
Right. Well, since we are on a real estate show sponsored by a couple of realtors, Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, ask you what your relationship with realtors. I'm guessing maybe an interior designer gets in there now and then, but as far as working with realtors, where might your paths cross?
Oh man, realtors. I work with quite a bit of different realtors.
Yeah.
And you have your different brokerages. You've got, 500 realtors in Western Montana?
There's a lot of them, yeah.
Something like that. And so, if you get out in front of 10% of those, you're doing pretty good. And if you get good relationships with them and take care of their clientele as they want somebody to take care of them, then they're going to take care of you. So I've got a handful of realtors that, just refer me. Interior designers that I work with, they kind of bring a different aspect to the game. I like the minimalistic, kind of great operation, but they look good, where a lot of those interior designers bring the foo-foo, the pretty stuff. And so it's kind of fun to bring, different ideas together and
Yeah.
create one solid project. So that's fun. But I also work a lot with builders. Been getting a lot of commercial projects lately, as far as new apartment buildings going up, and we're doing another Parade of Homes house this year down in the Bitterroot. So we did one last year up here in Mansion Heights, and that was fun. Those are always fun projects because they're very in depth and they take a lot more work than your regular house.
Sure. Have you learned a thing or two from interior designers? Have they broadened your horizons a little bit? Because you're right, they've got a lot of very particular artistic ideas, as they should.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're representing the homeowner or business owner, whatever, their client. But you imagine you extract the thing or two from them.
I do. It's great because you get a different view, right? So I might have one view on how something should go and how it should look and how it should operate, and they have a completely different one. But then we try to mesh everything together so that way, it looks good, it operates good, and at the end of the day, the customer, the homeowner, is absolutely happy with how it works and how it looks, and the way their house is finished.
Yeah. Well, kind of staying with the real estate topic here, how has this real estate market activity affected what you do?
So obviously there are trends with real estate markets. When it comes down to obviously buying and selling the houses. Fortunately, I think we have a lot of old money, if you will. So you're not having a lot of the. I mean, we also do have the new homeowners, first-time homeowners, sure. But you're getting a lot of those people that are coming in with old money, and they're not worried about the interest rates. But you're also, you're kind of following those trends with the new housing market kind of slowing down. In essence, it's not like it was booming years ago, but I think we kind of follow those trends. But we also kind of stay a little bit flatter, so it's not as much of a highs and lows.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate here on News Talk KGVL. And my guest, Ryan Gilberts, owner of Shaded Window Coverings. Let's get to some of the cool gadgets and doodads here, Ryan. Let's talk a bit of different products you offer, and maybe a few details about each. Why don't we just start with shades?
Shades. Love them.
Okay.
Yeah. Shades are something there to take the intensity of the sun or the intensity of the cold coming through the windows. They filter kind of the light. They filter the direct sun, but they don't completely block out the light.
Yeah.
In essence. They're going to be more of a natural product. They're going to be a fabric product, something along those lines.
Do you have a lot of different lines of those?
Yeah, so you can have different, I would say, shears, so different opacity levels with the shades. You can have different operation styles, different looks even. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of different looks when it comes to shades. Our most popular is going to be a honeycomb shade or a roller shade. So either something that looks like an accordion that stacks up real nice, has a great insulation factor to them, or something that I always like to do, makes it a little bit more modern looking, is those flat fabrics. So they have a roller shade. You see a lot of them in commercial aspects, but something new that's hit the market in the last, I'd say, 8 years is a banded shade. So it takes that flat look of a roller shade, and it's two pieces of fabric, partly sheer, then partly banded of color or, opacity level. Right. And so it kind of acts like a blind, if you will. So you can change the level of view through that you want, kind of louver the level, but then you also get that modern look of, some flat fabric and some shade and all the cool stuff.
Well, let's move on to blinds. And how do blinds differ from shades normally? Yeah,
so blinds, I always say it's going to be kind of the old school way of doing things. You have a slatted product that louvers open and close. They're not really fun to operate every day, but they're kind of your entry level product that gets there. But they can be super high end when it comes down to, a lot of houses have stain grade trim around the windows, and they just want to kind of match that stain grade. And so it always looks best to go to something that matches that stain. So we go to a solid wood product. So it, kind of acts like your entry level blind, the horizontal slats where you can louver them, lift them open and close, things like that.
Yeah. You're obviously trying to keep out sunlight, at least in part. These are also artistic. They're very, very pretty. But what are they? A totally naive question, but hey, I'm the radio guy. You're the blinds guy,
right?
The shaded covers guy. Is there a risk of fading on the sun side of those, or are they treated in a certain way? How does that work?
That's a great question. So when it comes down to the blinds, we're not in a super dramatic climate area, say like Arizona, where you get 120 degrees for 3 months out of the year, and that's just going to bake the coloring off the blind itself. You will, over time, have some fading, some sun bleaching and things like that. It even happens with the fabrics of the shades. So yes, you can have that, but typically a high quality blind, you're going to have a good coating on there that's going to have a little bit of UV protection on there.
Shutters. What is the major appeal to shutters?
Oh, so shutters are going to be like a fine furniture in your window. I'd say they're great, especially for the specialty style windows. You have a circular window, you have an odd shaped window. They make it so that way you can cover that whole window with that specialty shape, but still have an operable window covering in there that doesn't cost a fortune.
Yeah.
I mean, there is going to be a surcharge to the cost for those specialty shapes, but it does help out with the budget.
Is that something shaded window coverings does? You are in charge of the shaping or contouring, trimming, whatever you call it?
Yeah, so we actually everything that we do is going to be custom ordered to fit the windows. So we laser measure everything, and so we have parameters that we have to go through to make sure these arches fit properly, make sure the angles fit properly. So there's a little bit of geometry there that we have to consider.
Right. Now, when I say drapes, I think of my mom and dad's house when I was a kid. And those big, heavy, bulky things. My God, how have drapes kept up with the times?
Yeah, so I mean, draperies. You have your clients that definitely want some draperies, and then you have the clients that are just, I don't want anything on my walls type of deal. We do draperies, a lot of things that we like to bring into somebody's house that isn't necessarily taking up too much wall space, but bringing in a different feel is we take those drapery fabrics and we just use them as a top treatment. So it kind of covers the hard window covering inside the window, but it brings in a different feel to the room. Okay. So those are called a fabric wrapped cornice board. But we also do draperies on the sides as far as decorative side panels that don't really operate, but they bring in a different feel, if you will, a softer feel, more of an elegant feel. Last week we just installed some draperies in a custom house, and they wanted some blackout, and that's exactly what they wanted. They wanted draperies to make their room feel grand, and they wanted to black out, and so we matched the draperies to some Roman shades, which takes that same fabric, but it puts it inside the window opening, and it makes it more of a horizontal shade.
Yeah.
So
it just it never ceases to amaze me when you're in hotel rooms. Like, for example, we vacationed a few nights at a Las Vegas hotel last month. Great time to go to Las Vegas, Ryan. Late July, right? Yeah.
Real warm.
It cooled down to about 110. I don't, but it blows me away. The drapes, not just Las Vegas, but anywhere. If you close those drapes entirely, I mean, your room is night.
Yeah.
24/7.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
It is.
How thick and well built and put together those must be.
Yeah. Well, especially with the general public operating them every day.
Right.
They do have to be pretty robust.
Yeah. They were hearty, no doubt about that. Now, awnings have to be an attractive upgrade product for any home, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awnings, it's great because you're adding I would say a permanent but temporary roof, an operable roof to your patio.
Yeah.
So it'll help you protect against sun. We did some awnings last summer for a house out at the Y. We did one over the front patio and one over the back patio. So 2 awnings in one house. And I specifically remember this. They had their elder parents that were hanging out at their house, and they didn't want to have the awnings installed while they were there. But I said, hey, due to scheduling, we should do it this time. And so we put one awning up, and then they moved the elderly parents out to the front awning, and we left the awning out for them. Well, then we came back to tidy some things up to the front of the house afterwards, and we noticed that the front patio was probably about 15 degrees cooler with that awning out. So I didn't believe it until I actually lived with it.
Wow.
So
was that as far as the material or the brand name, was that something new to you, or you just did?
No, it's just something I don't really like to make as a sales pitch, because every house is different, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to give some promises that I don't think would happen.
That's impressive, though, and I suppose a lot of it has to do with which way it's facing.
For sure. Yeah, it was an east back patio and a west front patio. So, as the sun moved, it was getting warm.
Yeah. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate here on News Talk KGVO. My guest this week, Ryan Gilberts, owner of Shaded Window Coverings in Missoula, for all of your custom window treatments. Also, thanks to a couple of Diane and Becky's marketing partners that also team up to bring you the show. Miles Link at Opportunity Bank of Montana, and Rob Fleming at Man Mortgage. And back to Ryan Gilberts with Shaded Window Coverings. One thing I did want to ask you, these products that I was asking you a little bit about, shades, blind shutters, etc. I imagine a lot of that has gone the way of remote control, right? You've got to get that. You have to factor that in too, don't you?
Oh yeah. So actually, as of June 1st of this year, the Supreme Court's ruled that hanging strings are now a strangulation hazard, and so they have outlawed those. So the Window Covering Manufacturing Association has abided by the rules. So any of those strings that you pull to lift the shades up or blinds up are no longer manufactured anymore. So with that comes, cordless operations being more of a standard operation. You're having better price points on remotes, different qualities for different motorization systems. So we can do your basic, what I call a wand motorization. It's a standalone system, very simple, very easy. It's right on the shade. It's a wand that hangs down, and you have 3 buttons. You can control the shade, or you can go all the way up to like a full home automated system where it's controlled via, your phone through an app, or we can do it through a smart home feature. You can do them battery operated. So for those houses that have already been built without the wires inside the windows, we can do them all battery operated. So they're internal lithium ion batteries, and they're rechargeable to, full house wired shades. And, it can be extensive and it could be very basic, but it's very fun. All the motorization.
Okay.
Yes, it does add a little bit of a,
Well, there's a learning curve,
yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah, there's definitely a learning curve, but there's always going to be some service that needs to happen.
Sure.
Just right before I was here, I was at a customer's house that she texted me this morning and said, hey, these shades are not working anymore. What's going on? So I just stopped on over there. Fortunately, it wasn't even the shades. It was the outlet that her transmitter was plugged into just miraculously lost power. There was no power to that outlet. So I moved the transmitter to a different outlet, and her shades worked just great.
Wonder if that was that storm-related thing that we dealing with. So, you've been in the biz a few years. Do you like all of that tech? Are you impressed with it? Still a lot of bugs to work out? Or, not that it's brand new, I realize, but
Do you like that line of products that you're selling on that end as far as the remote and the wireless and everything?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been in the industry for about 14 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've seen the evolution of the motorization system. And so right now at this point, there's some bugs to work out, but it's definitely becoming a lot better systems out there with, not having the 12 AA batteries that you have to swap out of your shades every 3 months. I mean, I couldn't imagine having those anymore.
Wow.
Now we have a lot of internal battery shades where you're going to be recharging those 6 months to a year, depending on how much they operate.
Wow.
So they hold a charge pretty well.
I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate here on News Talk KGVO. My guest, Ryan Gilberts, owner of Shaded Window Coverings in Missoula. Now, besides the awnings, Ryan, what other exterior treatments do you offer that customers might not immediately think of for their exteriors?
So another exterior product that's super popular is going to be your exterior shade. So we have solar screen shades that their main objective is to decrease the amount of UV that comes through a window. But we have these shades that are going to be a motorized roller shade that is held up in a cassette at the top. We have side retention systems, so it's either going to run through a track on the side or going to run through a cable. So that way, if it does get a little windy out, the shade doesn't blow away, create a big wind sail. So those are super popular. We put them on the exterior of windows, so on the outside of the house. We also put them in the openings of like patios. So we cover patio openings with those, and it really helps out creating a different lifestyle to the outside of the house, as far as putting patio cover.
Yeah, and like the ones inside, still pretty easy to operate, right?
Yeah. So a lot of these exterior shades are going to be motorized. We can do them mechanical, so it has a little crank system, but a lot of them are going to be motorized, and you can operate them inside the house with a simple remote, or we can hook it up to your phone.
Yeah.
I think a really cool job that we did with those is another custom house down in Hamilton. The gentleman had window, big slider, and another window with transom windows up top, and he wanted it all covered as one. And I just looked at it and I was like, that's a monster of a wall. It ended up being a 24.5-foot wide shade by 15 feet tall, and we were able to accomplish that in one solid shade. It's hardwired with 120 volts going to it, man, and it looks phenomenal from the outside. And so it doesn't take up any window space on the inside. So I thought that was a super cool.
Tell me that there's a hell of a view out that window, because you don't invest that.
Oh, yeah.
You want to be able to look at what, you mentioned it was up in the Bitterroot Valley area somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Just overlooking the Bitterroots. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Since by your own admission, you're a tech geek there, Ryan. Among all those items we've been talking about here on Missoula Real Estate Today, I don't know about brand new things, but any examples of some really unique or cool products that you can offer that maybe you've discovered, fairly recently?
Tech-wise, there's a lot more motorization becoming standard, and so Hunter Douglas has systems out there right now. Even some other vendors have some systems out there right now that already transpire to your phone via Bluetooth, so you don't have to buy the whole gateway for the whole house, which is basically a Wi-Fi remote. So that's very cool. There's different styles. I can bore you with all this stuff, but Zigbee and Z-Wave stuff. And
all right. Now, if you go to your website, it is just it's an amazing website, just beautiful galleries, and it shows off a lot of products. But so here's what you have to offer them. But are they coming to you? Trends you're seeing, what products you're finding that maybe more customers are curious about these days?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be those people that know exactly what they want, but the problem is sometimes that house can't fit those.
Yeah, right.
There's definitely parameters when it comes to the size of shades that you can make, but we really try to learn everything. But sometimes there's those those houses that just throw you for a loop.
Sure. Well, describe an in-home consultation. Folks are listening and they want to know more about shaded window coverings. Somebody gets a hold of you. They'd like to have you meet them. Some product ideas, suggestion. What's the process to get that arranged, get it going?
I try to make it super easy for everyone. On the website, there's ways that you can schedule a free in-home consultation. You can scan QR codes that, you might see driving around on our vans. Easiest way, obviously calling and getting in touch. If you file online on the website, I obviously call you and we discuss some things, what you're looking for, where you're located, how many windows and things like that. So I get you on the calendar and we typically schedule within a week of getting the phone call. So that way you're not sitting there waiting in limbo. And then I come on out. Typically, I'm pretty cheerful. I'll have a smile on my face, make a joke or two by the time I get to the front door. And, we go through and see what your wants and needs are of the house and really talk to you and give you a personalized appointment inside your house. At that point in time, I show you all the samples that you're requesting or you're looking at. And I show them inside the house to you. So that way you can see the colors with your wall color, your lighting, with the views that you have. So, then we go out and measure at the same time, So sales consultation typically looks like an hour to maybe 2 hours, depending on, how in depth we need to get and how many products we would need to look at, which, it's totally fine. We can look at all the products you want. I just don't like to overwhelm people.
Well, yeah, sensory overload.
Yeah. So I take the measurements, and then at that point, I give you an on-the-spot estimate. I have a software system that we spend a lot of, time figuring it all out and getting it so that way we can just plug all these facets into the quote and give you an on-the-spot estimate. And by the time you're ready to see the numbers, we've already gotten a good idea of what you're wanting and how everything looks and how it should operate.
That is pretty impressive. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate here on News Talk KGVO. My guest this week has been Ryan Gilberts, owner of Shaded Window Coverings. All right, your free commercial time, Ryan. I guess the whole thing's free, but what do you feel makes Shaded Window Coverings different? What sets you apart?
Well, I'm going to probably have to say, first and foremost, the involvement in the community that I'm at.
Yes. We were talking about that before we went on. I was kind of hoping you might bring that up.
Yeah.
I know you don't like tooting your own horn, but I was hoping you'd bring that up. Well,
tooting the own horn and the amount that we give back, that's, that kind of goes hand in hand.
Yes,
so, I make myself go out into the community. Last Thursday, we were just at a cornhole tournament for the Dubbers Care with a good buddy of mine as an MC, and, raised a few $1,000s there. Just to give back to the community, so that way we can hopefully watch everyone succeed in the community. Obviously, been a part of the Christmas for Kids. That's always fun.
Yeah.
The More for Kids. So a lot of these nonprofit organization that helps out the community. So that's the biggest thing that makes me different than some others.
Well said. That is really, really cool. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate. My guest, Ryan Gilberts, owner of Shaded Window Coverings. If folks would like to find out more about Shaded Window Coverings, what's the best way to do that, Ryan?
Best way, you can go on to the website. If you don't want to have any conversation with me, you can just www.shadedwc.com, or you can always call 406-360-8272. You can also follow us online on Instagram, Facebook. It is shaded_window_coverings.
Ryan Gilberts, owner of Shaded Window Coverings, this week's guest on Missoula Real Estate Today. It's been almost 2 years. I'm glad you could come back, Ryan. Good job. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Denny.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate. For current listings and services Beck and Beck provide, visit movetomissoula.com. That's Missoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.
AM 1290 and K252FP 98.3 FM, Missoula. News Talk KGVO for Western Montana, a Town Square Media station.